The breaking point. Commander Ilara Voss stood at the viewport of Earth's last functioning orbital defense station, her gaze fixed on the swarm of alien ships that blotted out the stars. The Saldorian fleet had arrived 3 days ago, positioning themselves in a perfect blockade formation. Their ships, massive, crystalline structures that seemed to absorb rather than reflect light, numbered in the thousands. "Status report," she demanded, not turning from the view. Her voice remained steady, betraying none of the fear that gnawed at her insides. Lieutenant Kai Chen approached, tablet in hand. "The Saldorians have disabled our lunar colonies and outer system defenses. Earth's shield grid is at 27% capacity and falling. Civilian evacuations to the underground shelters are at 93% completion. And the Phoenix Protocol." Chen's eyes darted around the command center before he lowered his voice. "Dr. Reeves reports Phase 1 is complete. The data packets are prepared for transmission, and the seed ships are in position. They're just waiting for your command." Voss nodded, a grim satisfaction settling over her. When the Saldorians had first appeared at the edges of the solar system 8 months ago, humanity had known they weren't coming in peace. An advanced species that had conquered 17 star systems before reaching Earth, the Saldorians followed a simple pattern: subjugate, strip resources, move on. What made them particularly dangerous wasn't just their superior technology, it was their biological makeup. The Saldorians were silicon-based life forms, evolved in the crushing gravity and radiation storms of their home world. Their bodies could withstand conditions that would kill a human instantly. They viewed carbon-based life as primitive, inefficient, and ultimately expendable. To them, Earth was simply a resource-rich planet infested with a species too troublesome to enslave. "Commander," the communications officer called out, "we're receiving a transmission from the Saldorian flagship." "Put it through," Voss ordered, squaring her shoulders. The main screen flickered to life, revealing a being that still unsettled Voss, despite having seen it before. Admiral Kraz of the Saldorian Empire resembled a humanoid carved from obsidian crystal. Light refracted through his form, creating prismatic patterns that shifted with his movements. His face was angular, with glowing amber points for eyes and no visible mouth, yet his voice resonated directly in their minds when he spoke. "Commander Voss." The telepathic voice was cold, emotionless. "Your defenses continue to deteriorate. Your resistance is not merely futile, it is mathematically absurd. The Empire's High Council has authorized me to offer terms for your surrender." Voss crossed her arms. "Your previous terms involved the harvesting of Earth's core and the reduction of humanity to a test subject population of 10,000. Forgive me if I'm not eager to hear your latest proposal." A ripple of light passed through Kraz's crystalline form. What passed for amusement among the Saldorians? "Your species' tendency toward emotional reasoning remains fascinating. The new terms are simple. Earth will be spared total destruction. 1 million humans will be permitted to live in designated conservation areas under Saldorian supervision. The rest will be processed for resource extraction." "Processed," Voss repeated flatly. "You mean killed and rendered down to your fuel components. Your carbon, hydrogen, and nitrogen have value when properly refined," Kraz stated matter-of-factly. "This offer expires in 3 of your Earth hours. Be grateful. It is the most generous the Empire has ever extended to a pre-FTL species." The screen went dark before Voss could respond. "Orders, Commander," Chen asked quietly. "Get me Dr. Reeves at Phoenix Base," Voss said, turning away from the viewport and striding toward the central command table. "And alert all remaining defense platforms to prepare for Protocol Omega." 10 minutes later, Dr. Samira Reeves' face appeared on the secure channel. The scientist looked exhausted, dark circles under her eyes. But there was a fire in her gaze that told Voss all she needed to know. "Tell me you have good news, Doctor," Voss said without preamble. Reeves nodded, her expression resolute. "The genomic adaptability sequences are complete. Each seed ship carries specialized modification protocols based on their destination environments. We've compressed all of Earth's scientific, cultural, and historical data into quantum-encrypted packets that will accompany them. And the binding agent. That's where we've had our breakthrough, Reeves said, leaning forward. We've identified the molecular structure that makes the Taldorians vulnerable. Their silicon crystal matrices operate on precise quantum harmonic frequencies. Disrupt those frequencies, and their entire biological system breaks down. Can we weaponize it? Voss asked, hope flaring briefly. Reeves shook her head. Not in time to save Earth. But we've encoded the information into the Phoenix Protocol. The seed ships will carry this knowledge to our colonies. Humanity will survive, adapt, and eventually return. Voss absorbed this information, her mind racing through calculations and probabilities. The Phoenix Protocol had been humanity's contingency plan from the moment the Taldorians were first detected. Not an evacuation strategy, but something far more ambitious. While the public believed they were fighting a conventional war, a select group of scientists, military leaders, and genetic specialists had been preparing humanity's response to potential extinction. How many seed ships are ready? Voss asked. 317, Reeves replied. Small, stealthy vessels with advanced cloaking technology, each carrying genetic samples from 10,000 volunteers, specialized adaptation protocols, embryonic incubation systems, and AI caretakers programmed with the sum of human knowledge. And the transmission systems. Ready. The quantum entanglement network is primed. When Earth falls, the final message will reach every seed ship simultaneously, activating Phase 2. Voss closed her eyes briefly, the weight of what they were about to do pressing down on her. Earth might fall, but humanity would not only survive. It would evolve, adapt, and eventually return to reclaim its birthright. Begin final preparations, Doctor. We're initiating Protocol Omega in 2 hours. Protocol Omega was simple in concept, nearly impossible in execution. It required precise timing and the sacrifice of Earth's remaining military assets to create a distraction big enough to mask the launch of the final seed ships and the activation of the quantum entanglement transmitter. Voss spent the next hour briefing the leaders of Earth's remaining defense forces. None questioned the plan. They all understood what was at stake. Humanity had faced extinction events before, but never one so calculated and cold as the Taldorian invasion. With 30 minutes remaining before the Taldorians' deadline expired, Voss returned to the main command center and opened a channel to Admiral Kraz. "I've considered your offer," she said when the alien commander appeared on screen. "Your acceptance is noted," Kraz replied, presumptuous as always. "I didn't say I accepted," Voss countered. "I'm contacting you to deliver a message from humanity." The crystalline being tilted his head, light refracting through his form. "Your species' insistence on ceremonial communications before surrender is inefficient." "This isn't surrender." Voss stepped closer to the screen. "This is a warning. Humanity has thrived on Earth for hundreds of thousands of years because we possess one quality your species clearly lacks: adaptability. We've survived ice ages, meteor impacts, plagues, and our own destructive tendencies. Each crisis made us stronger, more resilient. Your evolutionary history is irrelevant." Kraz dismissed. "The Empire has studied carbon-based life extensively. Your biological limitations are well documented." Voss smiled, the expression lacking any warmth. "Then you've studied poorly. By attacking Earth, you haven't condemned humanity to extinction. You've set us free. Free from the constraints of a single world, free to adapt to environments your kind could never imagine. And when we return, and we will return, you'll discover that in trying to destroy us, you've created your own worst nightmare." Confusion rippled through Kraz's crystalline form. "Your threat lacks coherence." "Explain." "You'll understand soon enough," Voss said. "Just remember this moment. Admiral, remember that Earth warned you. Your fate is sealed." She cut the transmission and turned to her command staff. "Begin Protocol Omega. And may whatever gods exist have mercy on those who didn't. Across Earth's remaining defense grid, a coordinated attack commenced. Every satellite, orbital platform, and ground-based weapons system targeted the Xaldorian fleet simultaneously. It wasn't meant to win, merely to distract. Deep beneath the Himalayan mountains, Dr. Reeves initiated the final sequence of the Phoenix Protocol. The last wave of seed ships slipped away from hidden launch facilities, their advanced stealth systems rendering them invisible to Xaldorian sensors. And at the heart of the facility, the quantum entanglement transmitter, a device that could send a single, unblockable message across vast distances, powered up for its one and only use. From his command ship, Admiral Kraz watched with mild curiosity as the humans' desperate attack unfolded. Their weapons barely scratched his fleet's defensive shields. With a casual gesture, he ordered the counterattack. Lances of energy streaked toward Earth's surface, targeting military installations and defense grids. Commander Voss felt the defense station shudder as Xaldorian weapons fire struck home. Systems failed around her, but she kept her eyes on the status indicator for the Phoenix Protocol. "Seed ships clear," Chen reported, his voice tight with emotion. "Quantum transmitter at 98% charge." "Send the message," Voss ordered. "To all ships, to all colonies, to everyone we could save. Remember Earth. Adapt. Survive. Return." As the quantum transmitter discharged its payload, sending Earth's final message, along with the scientific and cultural legacy of humanity, to hundreds of seed ships scattered across the galaxy, the Xaldorian bombardment intensified. The defense station's structural integrity failed. Commander Voss's last sight was Earth from above, blue and green and beautiful, even as fire blossomed across its surface. Her last thought wasn't of defeat, but of the future, a future where humanity would rise again, changed but unbroken, to reclaim the stars that were their birthright. Earth burned, but humanity's story was just beginning. Part 2. The Unexpected Reckoning. 5 years after the fall of Earth, Supreme Admiral Kraz stood on the command deck of the Xaldorian flagship Inevitable Dominance, his crystalline form now adorned with the prismatic patterns that signified his elevated rank. The conquest of the Sol system had earned him unprecedented honors, and the responsibility that came with them. "Status report on the resource extraction from the third planet," he ordered, addressing the junior officer who approached. 87% complete. "Supreme Admiral," the officer replied, light patterns shifting anxiously across his obsidian surface. "Core tapping operations will conclude within the next cycle." Kraz acknowledged this with a slight incline of his head. The Earth operation had been remarkably profitable for the Empire. The planet's rich mineral deposits and unusual biodiversity had yielded resources beyond initial projections. The remaining human specimens, carefully maintained in conservation facilities, continued to provide valuable research data. By all measurable metrics, the mission was an unqualified success. Yet something troubled Kraz, a discordant frequency in his crystalline matrix that humans might have called intuition. "And the anomalies in the Arcturus sector?" he asked. The officer's light patterns dimmed slightly, the Xaldorian equivalent of discomfort. 3 more outposts have gone silent. "Supreme Admiral, the High Council has dispatched an investigative fleet, but preliminary data suggests technological signatures inconsistent with any known species." Before Kraz could respond, the ship's communication system activated. "Supreme Admiral, we're receiving an emergency transmission from Outpost Zeta 9 in the Procyon system." "Display," Kraz ordered. The main viewing field shimmered, revealing a Xaldorian science officer. Background explosions sent prismatic distortions across the transmission. "Under attack. Unknown vessels. Weapons unlike." Static interrupted the message. When it cleared, the officer's crystalline structure showed fracture patterns, severe damage for Xaldorian. "They're everywhere, adapting to our defenses. They call themselves the Phoenix Collective, claim to be human, but they're not. Not anymore." The transmission terminated abruptly. Silence fell across the command deck. Kraz's amber eyes narrowed to pinpoints of light. Replay the final 10 seconds and enhance audio. The ship's systems complied. This time, in the background, beneath the sounds of destruction, a message could be heard repeating in a loop. Earth remembers. Your fate is sealed. The words from the human commander 5 years ago. Words Kraz had dismissed as the empty rhetoric of a defeated species. Set course for Procyon, maximum velocity, Kraz ordered. Alert the High Council that we may have a Level 1 emergence situation. The journey to Procyon took 3 days at the Saldorian fleet's fastest speed. When they arrived, Outpost Zeta 9 was gone, not merely damaged or destroyed, but completely dismantled, with not so much as microscopic debris remaining. Impossible, Kraz's second-in-command murmured. No known technology could so completely eradicate a station of that size without leaving trace elements. Scan for quantum residue, Kraz ordered, a theory forming in his mind. The results confirmed his suspicion. The outpost hadn't been destroyed. It had been deconstructed at the molecular level, its components harvested with perfect efficiency. Over the next several weeks, similar reports flooded in from across the Empire's outer territories. Installations went dark. Resource extraction operations ceased communication. Scout ships vanished, always with the same message left behind. Earth remembers. Your fate is sealed. Kraz was summoned to the High Council on Saldor Prime to address the growing crisis. Standing before the crystalline archways of the council chamber, he faced the 7 most powerful beings in the Empire. Explain these failures, Supreme Admiral, High Counselor Vex demanded, her form a towering spire of midnight crystal. Not failures, Kraz corrected carefully. An unforeseen consequence of the Earth operation. He activated the central holographic display, showing a map of the known galaxy. Red points of light indicated affected Saldorian outposts and installations. The pattern was clear, expanding outward from Earth in an organized, strategic progression. 5 years ago, when we conquered Earth, the human commander delivered a message I interpreted as meaningless defiance. I believe now it was a warning, or perhaps a promise. Kraz manipulated the display, bringing up recovered data from various incidents. We have confirmed encounters with 4 distinct variants of what were once humans. Each appears to have adapted to environments we considered uninhabitable. The display showed images captured from surveillance systems before they failed. Humanoid figures moving through the vacuum of space without protection, their skin shimmering with what appeared to be metallic scales. Beings with elongated limbs and enlarged craniums, manipulating energy fields with their bare hands. Entities that shifted between solid and gaseous states, flowing through security barriers designed to repel solid matter. Impossible, one of the counselors stated. These adaptations would require millennia of evolution. Not evolution, Kraz corrected. Directed adaptation. Genetic engineering on an unprecedented scale. He paused, gathering his thoughts. I believe the humans anticipated their defeat. They prepared for it, using our attack as a catalyst for their transformation. The chamber fell silent as the implications became clear. Our intelligence indicated no such capability. High Counselor Vex said finally. Our intelligence was wrong, Kraz stated bluntly. We assessed humans as a primitive, pre-FTL species confined to a single planet. In reality, they were on the cusp of a technological breakthrough. Their apparent weakness masked a remarkable adaptability. He brought up new data. An analysis of the weapons used against Saldorian outposts. They've discovered the resonance frequency that disrupts our crystalline biology. And they've weaponized it. How many of these transformed humans exist? Another counselor asked. Unknown, Kraz admitted, but based on the pattern of attacks and the diversity of variants we've encountered, I estimate at least several hundred distinct colonies, each adapted to different environments, each developing technologies suited to their new physiologies. You believe this was intentional, Vex said, not a question, but a realization. I do, Kraz confirmed. The human commander's words make sense now. By destroying their homeworld, we didn't end their species, we scattered them across the galaxy, forcing them to adapt to survive. And in adapting, they've become something more dangerous than we could have predicted. Before the council could respond, an alert sounded. A junior officer entered the chamber, a significant breach of protocol that indicated the severity of the situation. "Forgive the interruption," the officer said, light patterns pulsing with urgency. "We're detecting multiple unidentified vessels entering the Saldor system. They've bypassed all outer defenses without triggering alarms." The council chamber erupted in chaotic light patterns, the Saldorian equivalent of panic. No enemy had penetrated to the heart of the Empire in 10,000 years. "How many vessels?" Kraz demanded. 317, the officer replied. "Configuration unknown. They're transmitting a message on all frequencies." "Let me guess," Kraz said grimly. "Earth remembers. Your fate is sealed." The officer's light patterns confirmed it. High Counselor Vex turned to Kraz, her crystalline structure vibrating with tension. "What do they want?" "To negotiate from a position of strength," Kraz replied. "They could have attacked without warning if their goal was simple destruction." The communication system chimed, indicating an incoming transmission. On the main display appeared a figure that was simultaneously human and something else entirely. Her skin had a subtle metallic sheen, and her eyes glowed with an inner light that suggested extensive biological modifications. Yet her face, with its determined expression and sharp gaze, was unmistakably human. "I am Captain Lyra Voss of the Phoenix Collective," she announced. "Daughter of Commander Ilara Voss, who delivered Earth's final warning to you 5 years ago." Kraz stepped forward. "I am Supreme Admiral Kraz. I remember your mother's words." "Good," Lyra replied with a small, cold smile. "Then you understand what's happening." The Phoenix Protocol wasn't just about survival. It was about transformation. When you destroyed Earth, you triggered the next stage of human evolution. We've adapted to environments across the galaxy, developed technologies your scientists considered theoretical, and we've discovered the fundamental weakness in your crystalline biology. "What do you want?" High Counselor Vex demanded. "To offer terms," Lyra said, echoing the words Kraz had spoken to her mother years ago. "The Phoenix Collective has authorized me to propose an alliance rather than your extinction." Murmurs ran through the council chamber. Kraz studied the human hybrid carefully. "You could have attacked without warning. Why negotiate?" "Because unlike you, we understand the value of diversity," Lyra explained. "The universe is vast enough for both our species, provided you recognize our right to exist. We don't seek destruction. We seek partnership. Your crystalline technology combined with our adaptability could advance both our species." "And if we refuse?" Vex asked. Lyra's expression hardened. "Then we continue what we've started. Our ships have already mapped the resonance frequency of every Saldorian world. We can end your empire in a single day." Kraz believed her. The evidence was too overwhelming to ignore. In trying to eliminate what they saw as a primitive species, the Saldorians had instead created hundreds of advanced offshoots, each adapted to different environments, each developing unique technologies, and all united by a single purpose: survival. "The Council requires time to consider your proposal," Kraz said finally. Lyra nodded. "You have 24 hours. A generous offer. The most generous the Collective has ever extended to a species that attempted our genocide." The communication ended, leaving the council chamber in stunned silence. "Can we defeat them?" Vex asked Kraz quietly. "No," he replied without hesitation. "They'd studied us for 5 years while adapting and evolving. We know almost nothing about them, except that they found our weakness, and they've proven willing to exploit it." Another counselor's light patterns flashed with indignation. "The Saldorian Empire does not surrender." "This isn't surrender," Kraz said, echoing Ilara Voss's words from 5 years ago. "It's adaptation, something we could learn from the humans." As the council debated, Kraz gazed at the tactical display, showing the 317 ships surrounding Saldor Prime. Ships containing beings that were once human, but had become something new. Something that had transcended the limitations the Taldorians had believed would make them easy to conquer. The warning had been clear from the beginning, if only he had understood it. Earth's last message wasn't a defiant cry of a dying species. It was a promise of what was to come. The humans hadn't been fighting to save their world. They had been fighting to ensure their evolution would continue elsewhere, transformed by the very act of Earth's destruction. "Your fate is sealed," Commander Voss had told him. And now, looking at the ships that surrounded his homeworld, Kraz finally understood exactly what she had meant.